One of my uncles was an engineer at IBM, and he made more money on the stock plan than he did as an employee. We all know stories like that. And you, like me, you're very likely have listened to many Teslanaires who are YouTubers who are on Twitter who are talking about how they've made millions or even tens of millions of dollars on Tesla stock already. Well, I'm not among that group yet, but I'm planning on becoming part of that group. It was said that Sam Walton made more folks into millionaires than any other person in history. I think Elon Musk is going to pass Sam Walton in that regard. And pretty much, I think anybody that's got $50,000 invested now and holds for 5 to 10 years is going to be a Teslanaire. This is not investment advice. I'm just saying. This is Randy Kirk. If you like this kind of content, please hit the like button down below. Hit the subscribe button. This week, we're going to have the big numbers I'm going to do on Tuesday. We will give the full 2023-2024 projections. You may have heard that I've lowered my projection a little bit on the second quarter. So that's going to lower my overall. So you want to see all the updates on that coming on Tuesday. Hit subscribe and hit notify to make that happen. And of course, I do put all of those spreadsheets up on Patreon. So maybe you want to become part of Patreon. And there's a $7, $7. There's it's $10, $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever you want to spend. And there's a 7-day free trial right now. Okay, let's get into the meat of this, what I consider to be the most important video I've ever made. I'm hoping that you will share it with your friends. When you're done with this video, hit the share button down below the video and put it up on Twitter, our Facebook, our LinkedIn, our Instagram, wherever it is that you go, wherever your people are, share it. Go on Twitter. If you're on Twitter and you have a lot of followers, go on Twitter and find my tweet and then retweet it for me. Do whatever you can. Share this video. I think it's that important. I think it's going to change things. I know I'm going to get comments from you guys saying, would you please stop pushing and pumping the stock because we want to continue to buy it at these low prices? Whatever. Okay, let's go on. Here's an interesting mind game. Okay, this is what I got in mind here. We're going to play this mind game. And maybe the street will finally take notice if we do it this way. I think that 80% of those who are paying attention could probably believe that robotaxi will be a thing by 2026, not by 2024. A lot of people think it'll happen. Elon thinks it might still happen this year. He certainly thinks it's going to happen by next year. So we'll throw out 2024. We'll even throw out 2025. And we'll assume that maybe sometime in 2025, FSD becomes a thing, and it takes a few extra months to get robotaxi up so that in 2026, robotaxi is a thing. Do you think you could have 90% conviction that robotaxis will be on the road by 2026? Maybe 100% conviction. I'm not sure. So what about Optimus? I've gotten lots and lots of comments on my Optimus videos. Like, Randy, what are you talking about? They're not going to make 1 million of those next year. It's going to take so long to build the factory and so long to get it right and blah, 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 blah. Okay, you might be right. I don't know. What do I know? I've been a manufacturer for many years, and I've had other manufacturers and other people that are robot experts and whatnot on the show who say that it's not that hard, that it's really all in the software. That's all they got to do is get the software right. And it could happen really soon. But let's just, what do you think? I'm going to say, well, this year they finish working on the software. Next year they deploy them to their own facilities and they really work out the kinks. And in 2025, they're still like, well, yeah, okay, let's start maybe building a line. And they really take their time. And by the end of 2025, they've kind of got it down. And then they have the reveal and then they start selling them in 2026. Is that good? Could you go along with that might be the way it works, or that in 2025 they start selling a few, and by 2026 they're fully ramped with their first line or 2 lines or whatever? Is that good? So 2026, could you have like almost 100% conviction that that'll happen by 2026? All right. So in other words, we know there are the Uber bulls, there's the bulls, there's the bears, there's everyone. We can talk about the valuations. We can decide there's going to be X number of cars this year and Y number of cars next year in 2023, 2024. That's what I'm going to be doing on Tuesday. I'm going to do the normal trick of pulling numbers out of the air based on what Elon has said based on history, based on science, based on extrapolating. I'm going to come up with my numbers. You can come up with your numbers. Well, okay, we have to decide whether Cybertruck will get made this year or next year. Will Elon be right and it'll only be 500 to 750,000? Maybe it'll be 1 million. We have all these choices to make about semi. When is semi really coming? We thought it was coming next year. Now it looks like it's coming the following year in any kind of quantities. And then, of course, there's robots and robotaxi. And anyway, the big numbers that it's the bots that are going to make Tesla bigger than the East India Tea Company. Okay. So let's just do it. We'll just skip to 2026. And in making that skip, we're going to have some assumptions. The assumptions will be based on an almost 100% conviction on hitting the numbers I'm going to show you. And I'm going to do 2 sets. You'll see. We'll get into that in just a second. So in other words, I'm talking about people paying close attention, people that really do care enough about Tesla that they're watching some videos like mine. Maybe they're on Twitter, maybe they're reading some articles, maybe they read one of my books on Tesla or on Elon, and they're paying close attention. But even if they were cynical, they'd be able to look at the historical data, they'd be able to look at the current information that's available, they'd be able to make reasonable projections, and they could arrive at the conclusions that I'm going to show you. That's kind of the assumptions I'm making here. Please let me know if any of these numbers that I give you don't meet the criteria that I just suggested, or what other criteria should I have put in here before I started making my numbers. All right, so let's start. I'm going to give you some charts in a minute. I'm going to give it to you on a spreadsheet, but let's just talk about it before we go there. I'm going to assume 6 million cars and Cybertrucks combined at $45,000 per with 22% margins. Is that fair? I mean, that should be, probably going to be 7 million, but I'm trying to be conservative here. So that would mean that we're going to get 2 million this year. We would get up to 3 million in 2024, 4.5 million in 2025. And then I'm saying only going up to 6 million in 2026. That's not going to get us to the 50% per year growth, that Elon talks about. So another way to look at it would be this. That would suggest maybe 2 million Ys at that time. I'm talking about in 2026, only 2 million Ys. I think there'll be more, but let's call it 2 million. Only 1 million between the S's, the X's, and the sports car. So, 1 million of those, and then 500,000 Cybertrucks. I think it'll be 1 million. I think it'll be 1.5 million by then in Cybertruck, and then 2.5 million of the new vehicle. And that's probably a real number. It might be a little lower, but maybe some of these other numbers will be higher. So anyway, that's where I come to my 6 million. So is that a good number? And again, remember, I'm going to give a second set of numbers too. All right, now let's add in 50,000 megapacks at $2 million each with 30% margins. It could be way more, but that's based on just 10,000 from Lathrop, and they might increase the numbers in Lathrop. That's 10,000 from Shanghai, which they should be breaking ground anytime on that, and 30,000 from 3 new facilities, or building more in the other 2 facilities. Now, there could be 5 facilities by then. There could be 7 facilities by then. There could be 9. Who knows how many there will be or how many there will be per facility. I'm saying 50,000. In order for Elon to get to his 1 terawatt by 2030, you got to start building some factories. And I think these would be kind of very conservative estimates of where we will be. All right. Well, what about semis? Well, Elon had originally said 40,000 next year, and all of a sudden he's just changed that. And he said, okay, we're going to go. We're not going to really start fully ramping until the end of 2024. So I'm going to say it's going to be 40,000 in 2025. And I'm only going to go to 50,000. I'm sorry, to 100,000 in 2026. I'm going to say they're going to sell for 350,000 average, because some will have more stuff on them and some will only be at 300,000, but some of them might be 400,000. And that assumes that there's some minimal number in 24, 40,000 in 25, and like I said, 100,000 in 26. I think that's an easy ramp if you compare it to the car ramps. It could be more than that. It could be 200,000 in 26. But let's go with an easy ramp, and we're only talking 100,000 in 26. What about services? Dan Ives said the other day that he thinks there'll be 10 billion in services in 2024. I'm going to say, okay, only 20 billion in 2026. And I'm going to give those 70% margins, kind of normal services margins. This would include, are you ready? This would include insurance, SaaS, dojo as a service, used cars, repair shops, parts and accessories, arbitrage on all of the energy installations, and then services on the mega chargers and the trucks, utility income, and there's more. But that's just those would be the services, and only 20 billion by 2026. I think that's conservative, especially if Dan Ives is saying 10 billion by next year. On top of that, then we add full self-driving. Now let's put the take rate at 50% only. In other words, it works now. You can drive your car from the back seat. There's no increase in accidents. If anything, there's a decrease in accidents. And I'm saying only put a take rate of 50%, and that Elon doesn't raise the cost. It's going to still be 15,000. So I think there's a 90% chance that FSD will be available and working 100% by the end of 2025, but I'm giving it to 2026. And of course, the margins will be 100%. This is all super conservative because the FSD price is probably going to be 50,000 by that time. And the take rate is probably going to be way over 50%. Because why? Because people are going to be turning it into a profit center for themselves, a personal income, a separate income for themselves. Especially, that's the reason I want to get a Cybertruck. So my wife doesn't know this. I don't think she's going to want to put it out on the network and let people drive her Cybertruck. So maybe we'll keep our Model Y when we buy the Cybertruck, so we can put the Model Y out and make money off it. Anyway, that leaves, of course, Optimus. I'm going to go that doesn't leave. We have one more after that. So Optimus, I'm going to go really, really low. Even if there's no sales in 24, I think we get 100% agreement that we start in 2025, and it should be at least 2 million in 2026 with $40,000 in profit per unit. I think that is stupid low. I think it'll be way more than that, but let's just go with those numbers. And then there's Robotaxi. Same idea. Maybe there will be no deployment in 2024, no deployment in 2025, but as of 2026, there's at least 6 million personally owned cars that will be put in service at least 50 hours a week, or about 6,000 miles per month, with Tesla getting 25 cents a mile. Did you get that? Okay. That's 6 million cars personally owned. So my car, your car, whatever. Maybe there's some fleet cars from Tesla as well. Maybe there's fleet cars from people like Hertz. But let's say there's 6 million out there, because the fleet cars from Tesla are going to make more than 25 cents a mile. Anyway, these are 6 million personally owned or corporately owned vehicles that'll be out there. They're only out 50 hours a week. That's really low. Okay. And that they're getting about 6,000 miles a month, and Tesla's only making 25 cents a mile. Now, eventually, Tesla's going to make less than 25 cents a mile on these, because it's only going to be 25 cents a mile, but that's like in 2030. All right. So that's my numbers. So now let's take it to the spreadsheet and see where we go from there. So you can see on the left, I've got the items, and then the unit numbers, and then the average selling price, the total revenue, the margins, and then the profit, and then we summarize it all down below. So let's go through these numbers. And so these are my conservative numbers. And then, yes, I'm going to do a bear case. Horrible, like the worst. I mean, you can't possibly not get there. All right, so let's go. So Sexy and Cyber combined, we talked about this, 6 million units, average selling price, 45,000, total revenues, that's 270 billion. Okay, just the cars. That's a $59.4 billion profit at only 22% margins. $59.4 billion in profit just on the Sexy and Cybertruck. All right. From there, you go to the mega packs. I'm saying 50,000 per year at 2 million. That's 100 billion in revenue. at 30% margins, which is what Elon said they were going to be shooting for. That gives you another 30 billion in profit. Services, 20 billion at 70%, 14 billion. The semi-truck, only 100,000 at 350,000 each, 35 billion in sales, 30% profit margin, and then that gives you 10.5 billion. Optimus, I've only got 5 million units. Those are 5 million deployed. Some of those might be deployed in 2024, but they will 2025. Some of them might be deployed in 2026, but they're getting 40,000 a year. Okay, every year, not 40,000 one time, 40,000 a year. Anyway, so 200 billion in revenue, 100% profit, 200 billion in profit going to the bottom line. And then Robotaxi, you begin to see what happens with what Optimus and Robotaxi do. Yeah, nobody gets this. Robotaxi. Again, you might have heard some other Uber bulls out there, like Warren Redlick, talking about the massive amount of money that will come in from Robotaxi. Well, yeah, look at this. If there's only 6 million units out there, and they're only doing that 50 hours a week, and they're only doing 6,000 miles a month, Tesla, you and I, we're going to make $108 billion off of that. Okay. Now you total all that up, you get to 421.9 billion in profit. You take a 30 billion for overhead, you get a net of 391, take a 90, that's probably high on the tax, 90. So that gives you $301 billion in profit, which is triple what Apple is right now. And Apple has a market cap of 3 trillion with a 30 PE. Now, because Tesla will be growing much faster than Apple at that point, then Tesla may continue to have a 50 or a 60 or a 70 PE, but we're just going to go with this. We're going to show that the $90 billion in profit, which doesn't include Powerwalls, are the IRA tax instead of money. All right, I haven't even put Powerwall because I just don't have any information on Powerwalls, so it doesn't include them. So right now we're looking at $88 a share, which at 50 PE is only $4,426 per share in 2026. And if you just discount that to today, okay, if you buy this, if you think this is like 90%, 80%, even 70% possible, and you discount that by 50% to today, because nobody discounts that much from 2026 to 2020, half of 2023, to where they'd be discounting at 50% to get to a real, we should be at $2,200 a share if you believe this. Right now, we should be at $2,200 a share. Why is that? It's because of Optimus and Robotaxi, and that's not being built in. Okay, let's look at what the services, we talked about that earlier. Okay, now let's go into, it's not half. I've just fiddled with the numbers a little bit, okay? Sexy and cyber, I took off another million, only 5 million. There's no chance. I mean, can you believe 100%? It's like no chance that we're not going to be at 5 million, okay? I kept the average selling price. That's a C, should be a P. Anyway, 45,000 still, 225 billion total revenue, 49.5 billion in profit. On Megapacks, I dropped it to 30. So that assumes that Lathrop and Shanghai are going good. They've either added another facility or they've added to those two. That is a nutty number. It is not going to be anywhere close to that. So I got 100% conviction in this number. 2 million per unit. That's 60 billion total revenues, 30% margin, 18 billion in profit. Services, 20 billion. I didn't change that. Semi, I dropped it to 50. So Elon was saying 40 in 2024. So now I'm saying 50 in 2026. Elon has changed it, of course. He's going to start the ramp in late 2024, but that means he should be doing that 40,000 easily in 2025. And I'm dropping it all the way to 50, and I'm dropping my per unit to 300,000. 30% margins is 4.5 billion. Optimus, I dropped it to 2 million, but I raised it to $60,000 a year. You see, the Optimus robot to a manufacturer or a construction site, or to even a farmer, or to a nursing home or whatever else, it's going to be worth $200,000 a year. It's going to replace 4 employees. So I'm not saying 200,000. I'm not saying 100,000. I'm saying to 60,000 a year to get this machine to your facility. That's 120 billion in revenue. At 100% margin, that's 120 billion in profit. And then Robotaxi, I dropped that to 3 million units instead of 6 million, which gives you 54 billion in revenue. In profit. Add it all up to 260 billion. Drop the overhead to 20 instead of 30 billion. Total now is 240 less tax, 190. That's double what Apple is now. And then per share would be $55.88. Still no info on Powerwalls, of course. Anyway, 50 PE would be $2,794. And if you discount it to today at 50%, it would be $1,400 a share. So in other words, if you believe at all that Robotaxi will become a thing, that FSD will go full on, and that Robotaxi will become a thing, then right now, this minute, and the rest of the numbers are like really conservative, the stock should be selling for $1,400 a share, and it's selling for $250. So if you haven't been an optimist about the Tesla future until this minute, are you now an optimist? Is this something that you think you should share with your neighbors? Is this something you should share on social media? I mean, is this something that maybe you like your friends and your associates and your neighbors and your dad and your mom and your cousins and your brothers and your sisters and maybe look at your list. Who needs to see that video? I mean, those numbers, that second set of numbers is so conservative, it was hard for me to even put it on paper. So send it out. Let's get this video out to everybody. Go on Twitter, put it up on Twitter. Right now, you got the share right down below. You can go to the share and you can share it right now. So I've given you a lot of things to do. You need to like, you need to subscribe, you need to hit notify so you can see my final numbers for 2023 and for the rest of 2023 and all 2024 on Tuesday. You want to be notified about that. Maybe you want to see my morning show every day during the week where I talk about the stock market and about Tesla. I give them the news like at 7:10 in the morning when it's useful to you, 7:10 California time, 10:10 Eastern. Maybe you want to hit notify for that reason. So every day you get reminded to take a look at that. And then you might want to buy some books, or you might want to go on Patreon. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. I hope you liked it. Please let me know. Comment. I want to know, where have I messed up? Give me the number that I should be more conservative on. And maybe I'll do another show where I'll take the worst case, like what you guys in the comments say. Oh my gosh, no, drop this one by this much. Yeah, I believe robotaxis will be out by then, but it'll only be this. Or, oh yes, I think the Optimuses will be being leased by that time, but this, that, and the other, it'll be lower than. Give me, tell me, let me know. Okay, it's been great talking to you.
Click the link below to get your paperback, Kindle, or audiobook now.